Hello, everybody. Welcome. Oh my gosh. So exciting to see so many people joining. Hello, come on in. I'm going to open up the chat. Come on in, everybody. I want to get started right away. So, everybody joining, we have so much goodness to dive into today. I cannot wait. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited you are here. If you want to put in the chat, where are you joining from? Let's get everyone chatting. Gold Coast, Australia. I actually have family there. Very cool. Come on in. India. Nice. Where are you guys all joining from? I am currently in Muskoka, Ontario, Canada, which is wild. I actually was traveling quite a bit for the winter. I was in South America, I was in Mexico, and now I'm back in the cold of Canada. But it's fine. It's fine. I have my peptides to help me. Come on in, everybody. So excited. Where are you joining from? Toronto, San Diego, Chilliwack. I've been to Chilliwack. Really beautiful tulips in Chilliwack. Where else are we from? Edmonton, Alberta, Colorado. Come on in. We're going to wait a couple, let's do one more minute and then I'm going to get started. Romania. Wow. Have not been to Romania yet. I feel like I've done a lot of travel, but Romania is not a place that I've been to yet. Winnipeg. Been to Winnipeg. You guys, this is really cool. We have so many people from so many different places. I love this. I love this. And we can definitely talk about that actually in terms of, peptide sourcing around the world is something that is a struggle internationally. It's a struggle. It's something that you really have to know the right people, aka me, to figure out how to get your peptides. Come on in. Okay. So I'm going to get started right away. My suggestion to you is have a pen and paper ready to go. Okay. Like, obviously, you will be getting the replay of this. It is going to be, you look 18. We need your stack. Oh, thank you. The replay will be sent to everybody. It's literally going to be in your inbox tonight or this afternoon as soon as it uploads. So don't worry too much if you miss like some critical word that I say or some sort of peptide that I mentioned. You will get the replay. You can go through it slowly, that type of thing. I just think it's also very helpful as well to take notes yourself. And that's also how we learn. It's a different way that we learn. So I'm going to be taking notes as well as we kind of move through this. And today is actually going to be a very interactive masterclass. I'm doing it a little different and I have some different tools we're going to do. So it's not going to be your typical, there's no slides. Oh my goodness, of course not. There's no slides. Absolutely not. It's 2026. We don't do slides. No. But we are going to do some really cool things. So stay tuned. And I just want to say, everyone who is live on this call, thank you so much for being here. I know what it's like to be so busy and be working. And maybe if you're a mom and have a family or you're taking care of other people, I know what it's like to actually juggle so much and to carve out 90 minutes of your time for this and actually for you and for your health is huge. And that does not go understated. And I value that so much. So seriously, thank you for being here. If you stay to the end, I have bonuses for everybody who is here live, and that actually is not available anywhere else. So I can't wait to kind of talk about that later and you will see. So let's dive into peptides for women. Everyone, welcome who's continuing to join. Please put in the chat where you're from. I'd love to know more. So with peptides and you, which is what matters the most, is I feel like there are so many women who are doing everything and trying as hard as they can. I think the women on this call and the women that I kind of attract into my space are women who are doing everything right. Like, you're exercising, you've done so many different diets, you've tried so many different supplements. Like, you are not the person who is new to wellness and you have been trying really hard and you've been educating yourself and researching and listening to the podcasts. And I really admire that in you because I am the same way. I think what happens with a lot of us is we get to a point where we kind of run out of answers. And this can be related to age as it declines and it gets harder to be healthier as we get older. But it could also be related to different life stages. And we're going to kind of get into that. things like fertility struggles or postpartum, what happens to your body, or perimenopause and menopause and how that all impacts your health as well. So I really want you to understand that I see you and I hear you, and I value the effort that you have put into your health up until this point because I have been there. I started my health journey 15 years ago. I got into biohacking and longevity. Before it was even biohacking, okay? Like biohacking is this cool word, but this is before it was biohacking. And I remember just really having this moment when my health was not in a good place of thinking, there's got to be something I can do about this. There's got to be a healthy way that I can manage this. I had a lot of gut health issues and then hormonal issues. And I really took it upon myself to figure it out. And I think that's what you guys are doing too. That's the sense that I get. If that makes sense to you, say yes in the chat. You can say hello. You can agree. Because I think so many of us we get to this point of, I'm not finding the answers from doctors or these people who are supposed to help me. So I'm just going to figure it out myself. And I just think a lot of women do that. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's also very taxing and it's a lot and it's exhausting. It's exhausting when you actually try to get answers again and again and again. And then you kind of are spiraling and you're not really moving the needle as much. I do want to quickly mention the chat. We are going to do the Q&A at the end. So please, if you have specific questions about peptides or anything I mentioned in this, I will open up the space at the end and then I'll go through them because otherwise it's a little much to kind of go back and forth. When we talk about peptides specifically, what we are facing right now, and I think a lot of you might know this, is that we are in a very gray market. It actually doesn't matter the country that you're living in. I mean, some are more strict than others, but if we talk about Canada, if we talk about the States, it's a very gray market, meaning you can buy peptides for research, but you can't buy peptides for personal or human use. So you can go online, you can find them. How do you trust those people? I don't know. That's up to you. People fake documents. It's really hard actually now to find vetted sources, especially in Canada. It's easier a bit in the States, but man, Canada is actually really hard. And people are actually now forging the documents that apparently prove that their peptides are real. So that gives me a little bit of a heart attack. I don't know if it does for you because you go on this website and you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this, BPC 157. Look, they have the COA. That means that's a certificate of analysis and it says it's 98% pure. Okay, that's true. But now there's all these companies that are actually forging that, which is wild. So I think what we're seeing here is the gray market makes it hard to know who to trust. We're also seeing a lot of censorship right now. I've had TikTok videos that have gotten deleted. I have had flags on YouTube where YouTube flags my content. They email me and they take away certain things that I can now do on YouTube and I have to wait. There's nothing I can do. I have to wait 2 months, 3 months, whatever it might be until I can actually do certain things again. This censorship on peptides is wild. I even get nervous about using hashtag peptides. And if you go to TikTok, for example, you can't actually put in hashtag peptides. It comes up blank. That's the point that we're at right now with peptides. So it doesn't surprise me that there's so many women in this room because everyone is like, okay, I know that these are going to help me. How the heck do I get them? How do I use them? How do I not mess up my biology as a woman? And that brings me to my third villain that I like to call them is, I don't want to say it's men, but it's just that kind of like biohacking, men dominate the space with peptides. If you go online, if you go on Instagram, I know a lot of you are in my program, or not my program, in my following on Instagram. If you go on Instagram, the peptide space is so bro-y. There are so many gym guys who are getting jacked, who are microdosing this peptide, who are taking that and who want the 8-pack, and they are on TRT and they're on all of these things. And I remember when I first got into peptides, I was like, that's great for you, but I am not a 40-year-old, 200-pound man. I care about my hormones. I care about my fertility. And what about perimenopause and menopause when I go through that? I don't think I can take retatrutide like you're taking it, or these different ones that affect growth hormone. And there just wasn't a lot of content. And so it's still so bro-y right now. It's so masculine. And so that's why I went deep into the research, becoming self-educated, studying peptide therapy and longevity medicine, and looking at, okay, let's talk about women. Women are so different than men. So how does this advanced tool of peptides apply to women? And that is kind of what we're going to talk about today, which I am so excited about. So if you are listening live, I'd love for you to put in the chat, have you ever tried peptides? Or are you brand new to them and you're like, oh my word, I'm excited, but like, ooh, tell me everything. Are you new? Have you tried them? Do you have your own protocol and your own stack? I want to know. Yes, I use BPC 157 KPV. Just started Glow with 3 injections. Nice. Microdosing TERS. BPC 157. It's a great peptide. Everyone should be on that one. I'm full on the wagon, full stack. I love them. I'm taking Retta Glow SS31. Haven't tried them, but still interested. Cool. C-Max, nice. My husband's on C-Max. D-Sip, I took D-Sip last night. BBC 157. I want to try Glow and NAD. Yeah, amazing, guys. Cool. So this tells me that you are very interested in peptides. You have some sort of education. You understand a few of them. You have some of them. And that is an amazing place to be. I want to talk about, before we get into specific peptides for symptoms and the women's phases and things like that, we have to talk about foundations. And it is a disservice to every single person on this call, whether you're watching the replay or you are live, if I actually don't mention the foundations that you have to have in place for peptides. Peptides only work as hard as you do. They are not a quick fix. They are not something you inject and then go sit on the couch and eat food all day and don't do anything. It's not how it works. We need foundational healthy habits in order to get the most out of our peptides. When you take peptides and you are doing that, you will get so much more from them. And I'm going to explain why. So for me, the foundations, I've been thinking about like, what would I include and what would I not include? And this is typically kind of where it lands for me. So mine are, I have 5, and I'm not going to talk about them a lot. First is nutrition, whole foods, as little processed food as possible, making as much from home as possible. Right now, I'm trying to make sourdough, guys, and it's interesting, okay? I'm trying to make my own organic sourdough because I feel like it's better for my family, and that is, yeah, it's going okay. Nutrition is so important, as whole foods, as nutrient dense as possible. And I think that is so, so important. But the point that I want to make right now about nutrition is a focus on protein. You need to be focusing on having a high protein diet. Protein forward, protein first, whatever you want to call it, diet. This is so important. I'm going to explain to you in a second why protein and peptides go hand in hand together. My rule of thumb is, and I can put this in the chat or you can write this down, 1 gram of protein per every pound of body weight that you ideally want to be. So if you weigh 180 pounds and you want to be 140 pounds, your goal is 140 grams of protein per day. There are so many different ways that you can do that. There's so many tricks, and I talk about this in my community. There's so many ways you can add in protein throughout the day to really get to that point. But that is the point that I like my clients at. That's where I like my mom at. Yesterday, speaking of, I actually got a text from my mom last night, who is in her 60s. She's postmenopausal. And she said to me, I think I hit 113 grams of protein today. And she was so excited. And I was so proud of her. And by the way, she is on a peptide stack that I made personally for her. So protein is so, so important. So we have nutrition, sleep. There are peptides for sleep, of course. Sleep really matters. This is when your body heals and recovers. I think a lot of you probably know this, but it's still important to mention. 7 to 8 hours. Right now, I have a toddler that sleeps in my bed. So that's not happening. Regardless of the peptides I take for sleep, there's no peptide that can help me, sleep through my toddler kicking me while he's sleeping in my bed. So that is kind of what we are working through. But sleep is so important. This is because this is when your body recovers, heals, repairs itself. If you do not get enough sleep, you will get less from your peptides. 100%. 100%. Sleep, stress management. I love peptides for stress management. But there's amazing tools as well. Meditation, activations, yoga, exercise, getting outside, sunshine, time off work, doing things that feel good to you, how you can be creative, what makes you feel like your best self, stress management. And the last one, which I feel like is going to be the most shocking, is intuitive longevity as a foundation. Now, what I mean by this is that, which I think is just important for you to know and maybe kind of put in the back of your head, think about it later, is when we live in misalignment from ourselves, it causes disease in the body and it causes stress and cellular dysfunctioning. There's a lot of books on this. A great one is like The Body Keeps the Score, talks about trauma and how it's stored in the body. And so examples of this, and I just did this on my retreat recently, we focused on this, is if you are in a job that doesn't give you purpose or passion and doesn't feel like where you're supposed to be, and you go to sleep at night and you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, what am I doing? I don't want to do this. This isn't for me, right? Like that misalignment actually creates chronic stress in the body. There's no peptide that is actually going to get you to leave your job. You have to do that. It's same with relationships. Same with if you're living somewhere that's actually toxic for you and you haven't left. It could be friendships. It could be your family. There has to be some sense of ownership over the way that you've structured your life through the lens of this is actually for my longevity and for my health because it builds over time. And I've seen this actually. I've seen this, like, sadly, I've actually seen this in my parents. I've seen the resentment that can build and the hardness that can build and then cause cellular dysfunctioning, mitochondrial dysfunctioning, and then disease. So intuitive longevity is my fifth foundation. I hope that kind of like gives you an idea of really what is important here. Now we're going to do something fun. I am going to explain to you what a peptide is. And this is going to be very brief because I feel like you guys know what a peptide is. But I do want to talk about it because of the new people who might not really understand, hey, what's a peptide versus a protein versus an amino acid? So I'm going to do something cool and I'm going to open up a whiteboard on Zoom. Can you guys see my whiteboard? Can you nod? Yes? Oh, maybe I should get rid of all the... Okay, let me turn off people being able to collaborate with me. Okay. Now, let's see if this works here. Okay. I have, I'm going to draw. And the thing that I love about this is there's no peptide that can teach you or make you be a better drawer. So please do not judge the way that I can draw on this screen today. So I'm going to write out a sentence. And my sentence is going to be, this is going to help us understand what a peptide is versus a protein. So I'm going to write it out here. Oh my gosh. This is kind of working. Hold on. This is supposed to say woman. Wow, this is not really working. Okay, let's try this again. Well, that's supposed to say women. Okay, what if I do it here? Okay, now I'm doing it with my mouse, which is even worse, but I want to show you because I think it really changes the way that you understand peptides. So that says woman, and let's see if I can write it. I have a keyboard here, or not a keyboard, like a drawing pad, but it's not picking it up. Okay. Women are not, this looks like my toddler is writing. Well, not that he can write, but if he could, women are not, this is going to say smaller. Women are not smaller men. Okay. Can everybody see that sentence right now? I'm going to erase all of this. Can I erase that? No. Okay. Cool. Women are not smaller men. This is our sentence that we're working with today. If we were to look at this sentence as a whole, and we go to the highlighter option, if we were to look at every individual letter, W, O, M, E, N, a W would be an amino acid. So out of this whole sentence, women are not smaller men, the amino acids are the individual letters, WOEN. This whole sentence entirely, which I'm going to circle here in green, would be a protein. Proteins are made out of long, complex strings of amino acids. That's why it is the sentence. It is long. It is not short. So amino acids are the letters. Sentences are the proteins. Peptides are the small little words. So R could be a peptide, not could be a peptide, men could be a peptide. And if you're watching on the screen, that would be everything that I just underlined in red. Peptides are short chains of amino acids. Short chains of amino acids. Proteins are long chains of amino acids. So actually, peptides are in proteins and they're all kind of related, and that's how that works. So when you look at the actual biological structure of peptides, they're very small. Like they're actually very small. They're limited in how many amino acids they can have. So if that makes sense to you, let me know in the chat because that's how I love to describe it to people so they can actually be like, okay, now I understand what a peptide is instead of like a complex, description of what it might be. Yes, good. I can see you saying yes in the chat. Good. Now, when we talk about peptides and women, the most important thing here is its relationship to growth hormone. Growth hormone is so important to our health. It's something that rises as a kid, teenager, and then actually starts to decline after mid-20s. Decline. And growth hormone impacts everything. That is why it's so important. It impacts metabolism and weight, body composition, muscles, skin, bones, tendons, literally everything. And that is why you see so many peptides and people talking about peptides in relation to growth hormone, because they are trying to increase growth hormone again, like they had it at their peak in their 20s. Or they're trying to upregulate it, change the way that it works in the body, and really get the most out of it, even if you are, 50s, 60s, whatever, and you have 50%, 60% of what you might have had in your 20s. Peptides and growth hormone go hand in hand. A lot of them do. Not every single one, but a lot of them do. The thing, though, that we need to focus on for women, and that what I don't see discussed is women are so different throughout the different phases of our lives. And we're going to talk about this right now in terms of the different phases. So I would love to know from you, what phase are you in right now? Are you in your cycling phase, like you have your menstrual cycle? Are you in your fertility phase? Are you postpartum? Are you in perimenopause, which is about 10 years before menopause? Are you postmenopause? I'd love to see in the chat where you're at in terms of age, in terms of the phase of womanhood that you are in. So for me right now, I'm cycling. I have my menstrual cycle. I'm still kind of postpartum. I don't know what, not really as much anymore though. I have a toddler and he is 21 months. So that is the phase of that I am in. I have clients, a lot of actually postmenopausal clients. Yes. Okay. So 32 in cycling, 45 in peri, good. 44 perimenopause, childbearing age, just got my period back 17 months postpartum. That's great. Post 62, 30, not infertility yet. Oh, endo removed. Yeah, that's hard. Yeah. Okay, good. Now I want to show you, we're going to go through these different phases and relate them to how peptides work and growth hormone, because this is so important and cannot be stressed enough of why. Hopefully my mouse works again. I'm going to show you on a graph right now. So we're going to start with cycling women, and I'm opening up my whiteboard again. Now this pen is supposed to work. Let's see if this works. No. Oh. Okay. I really just want this pen to work. Oh my gosh, why is it working that way? Okay. Let me see if I can move this. Sorry, guys. Okay. This is our graph. This is the menstrual cycle graph. And I want to show you the curves of the hormones that happen during this time. So this is red. I'm going to use red first. Oh, sorry, no, I'm going to use yellow actually. This is going to be our estrogen. Estrogen peaks in the first half of the cycle and then comes down. It actually has a second blip in the second half of the cycle, but that's beyond this. And then progesterone is pretty low, and then it kind of peaks as well like that. This is a very oversimplification, by the way, but I just want to show you this. And this is ovulation here, which happens around day 14. Now, you could say this is day 1, this is day 28, roughly like this. I have a 31-day cycle. 28 is kind of what people go through, but it doesn't necessarily matter, whatever it might be applicable for you. Now, what's important here is that estrogen, like we talked about, no, that's the wrong color. Estrogen, like we talked about, is, let's see if this works. Here we go. High in the first part and low in the second part. And progesterone is high in the second half and low in the first half. And then it kind of crosses around when you ovulate. Now, why does this actually matter? This matters because estrogen amplifies growth hormone. So when we have our menstrual cycle and you're taking peptides that impact your growth hormone, the estrogen that you have during that first part of the cycle is actually going to amplify this. So you're going to get more from your peptide in that first half of your cycle than you would in your second half. That's great, right? Like you're actually getting better bang for your buck. It's working better in your body. It's working harder. You're getting more benefit. And it's going to be, you're going to get more from it, which is awesome. But on the flip side, when estrogen becomes lower after you ovulate, you now have way less amplification of that growth hormone. And that means that if you are taking the same amount of a growth hormone related peptide, things like CJC 1295, ipamorelin, tesamorelin, any of those, you're actually going to get less from it. And if you keep the same amount, likely, well, happens for a lot of women, they just, need to learn to track it, is that you're actually going to have, you actually can have symptoms that are related to this, right? So a lot of water retention, a lot of bloating. And so what is the recommendation now is after ovulation is actually to reduce those growth hormone peptides by about 20 to 30% in the second half of your cycle. So this really helps. I'll just show you here as well. I actually have it with me. You guys see me on camera again, right? This really, like my planner, I know so many of you downloaded this. This is why in my planner, I mean, I don't even know how people track peptides without a planner. I actually put on the day what phase of your cycle you're in, just so that you're aware that, hey, my peptides might be acting differently because I just ovulated. And I track my cycle. I know when I ovulate, I know when I get my period. So it's actually going to hit different. That's the kind of awareness that we really want to bring to that stage. When we talk about peptides for fertility, moving into fertility, this is very different. I think preconception and fertility is a really beautiful window before you start trying to conceive to be able to focus on cleansing, detoxing, becoming as healthy as you can be. And so there's a lot of peptides you can actually do to help with that. BPC 157, TB 500, the Wolverine stack is amazing here. Really looking at your inflammation, getting your biomarkers checked, making sure that you have kind of as healthy of an environment for your eggs as possible. And same with your partner. There's a lot you can actually do as well to increase sperm quality. For fertility specifically, a peptide that people are looking at is called kisspeptin, and this helps with triggering ovulation. So if you're somebody who has irregular cycles, or which I used to have, or PCOS, this can actually be something that can be really helpful for you. And I would look into that as something you can take. Moving on from fertility, I want to talk about postpartum. I know there's some mamas in here who are postpartum. Postpartum, I think, can be anywhere from 3 months to 2 years after you have your baby. Some studies even say now the woman's body doesn't actually go back or bounce back. I don't like that phrase, but go back until 7 years postpartum, which is wild. There is so much you can do postpartum for your body with peptides. Now, if you're breastfeeding, there are caveats, of course, but inflammation, brain fog, sleep. I when I had my baby, I was a different person. I was a I was a different person. I was in a fog. And looking back, I honestly wish I had used peptides during that time. And if I have another kid, I will definitely use them differently. 100%. Now, knowing what I know now, I will use them differently because they are so powerful. And postpartum is such an exhausting time, especially if you don't have your village around you or you don't have a lot of support or you have other health issues as well on top of having a newborn or you have other kids. I think there's so much to be said there about that special time for women. Postpartum and actually pregnancy is a very inflammatory condition. I don't know if there's anyone here. I mean, you can put it in the chat if you want. If you ran your labs when you were pregnant and then postpartum, I did. I ran my labs in my third trimester and 3 months postpartum. I was shocked. I was shocked. I was like 3 months postpartum, I was like, I feel pretty good. Like I didn't looking back, but I thought I did. And I got my I got my labs back. My inflammation was through the roof. It was the highest it has ever been in my life, 3 months postpartum. So here, oral BPC 157 would be amazing for postpartum. And depending on, like, again, it's your body and your choice. I breastfed for a long time, but honestly, I probably still would do oral BPC 157. There's just no data on that. And so you have to be able to be okay with that. And there's no data on that because there's no money in that. No one is going to fund a $100,000, $500,000 study that looks at do peptides cross the placenta when you're pregnant or do they come through your breast milk when you're postpartum? There's no money in that. Why would they ever do that? So you do have to run the own risk and reward and weigh it for yourself when you're in those postpartum stages. If you are not breastfeeding, that's fine. There's so much you could do. There's so much you could do. And even recovery from birth, recovery from a C-section, scars, your skin changes, hair falling out. It's such a great time to actually bring peptides in as an advanced tool to help you feel like you again. Moving on to perimenopause, I love how much content there is right now about perimenopause. I think that it's really having its, day right now. And I just love this because I feel like not a lot of people know about perimenopause. So the average age for menopause in the States is 51, and perimenopause usually starts around 10 years before that. Menopause is very, very genetic, actually. So typically the age that your mom went through menopause, which is very hard to pinpoint the exact time, we can't really pinpoint a day, is typically what you will go through. And typically is the age you will go through it. And so then if you take 10 years off of that, that's typically when you will start perimenopause. Perimenopause is a volatile time. Now, I'm not going to draw another graph because this isn't working correctly. So I want you to picture, again, the growth hormone that I talked about, right? It peaks in your 20s and then it starts to come down in your 30s, 40s, 40s. Oh, 40s is perimenopause, 50s, menopause. So it's really drastically going down at that point. So if you're taking peptides that impact growth hormone, which a lot of people do and a lot of women do, it's going to be different every single cycle for you because you're going to have menstrual cycles that are going to be high in estrogen and you're going to have cycles that are low in estrogen. And you're going to have cycles where you don't ovulate at all. So my recommendation for perimenopause is track your cycle and track your symptoms. What does high estrogen feel like to you? What does low estrogen feel like? Low estrogen is a lot of dryness everywhere. Dry hair, dry skin, low libido, all of those types of things. High estrogen is different for women. Some women have water retention, can impact your digestion. So understanding that through some sort of planner, obviously I have mine, or just a notebook, whatever you need to do to understand, okay, I'm having my menstrual cycle right now. Do I think this is a high estrogen cycle? Okay, how am I feeling? How am I looking? What does my body feel like? What's my energy like? What's my mood like? Oh my gosh, what's my mood like? Because, like I said, perimenopause is this very volatile up and down, up and down. time of your life. And you can bring peptides in to help that. You just need to understand and be tracking is what I'm going to say. And if you're on HRT, which is amazing and can be incredible, in the longevity medicine space that I'm in, so many people advocate for HRT and so do I. There is a world where you can have peptides and HRT together. But understand that if you're taking exogenous estrogen, even bioidentical, the it can impact some of the peptides that you're taking, right? A lot of the ones that impact tesamorelin, ipamorelin, CJC 1295, any of those growth hormone peptides. So there really has to be a very high level of education there, like to understand every single cycle and understand what you're going through during that time. Now, menopause and postmenopause is actually amazing. I said this to my client the other day. This is a beautiful time for you. This is the most consistent time of your life. Your hormones are the most consistent they have ever been since you were before puberty, since you were a kid. Oh no. Oh, I froze. Can you see me? Oh, I'm super blurry. Can you guys see me? Yeah, what happened? That's weird. Of course, when we talk about menopause, I go blurry. Oh my gosh, poor quality. Okay, why don't we try this? Let me see if this works. Okay. I swear technical difficulties always. Okay, let me try this. Does this camera work? Whoa. Okay, let me move back a little bit. Okay. So we had to turn off the other camera. Menopause is actually such a beautiful time. This is a consistent time, and you can actually have so much going for you during this time if you have the right support and the right community and the right education along with it. What is nice about this time is obviously you don't have to worry about the fluctuations as much as you did or at all as you did during perimenopause. You don't have to worry about fertility and what this could mean for you long term. But with menopause and postmenopause, at that time, there's a lot of other things that have started to decline significantly. So you do have to be aware of that in terms of cellular health, mitochondrial health, and everything along those lines. But I mean, and I think about the postmenopausal women I work with who take peptides, they get so much from it. They get so much from it. They feel so much more energetic. They're sleeping better. Their skin and hair is better because so many of the different biomarkers have started to decline. And then we boost everything up again. And they're like, wow, I haven't felt like this in 15 years, in 20 years. And I think that is so exciting and so amazing for women. So those are kind of the stages. I hope that kind of helps to break it down. Oh, good. I'm glad the camera is better. I want to talk about the symptoms now. And we're going to kind of apply this to all the different stages. So I want to ask you my favorite question to ask people when I'm working with them is 90 days from today, what is one thing you would like upgraded about your health? And I would love for you to put this in the chat and just be vulnerable. You don't know the other people here. It doesn't matter. We're all kind of strangers. What is one thing that you would want upgraded about your health? So let's talk about that. That's July 16th, 90 days from now, July 16th. How do you want to feel? How do you want to look? How do you want to show up for the people that you love? How do you want to show up for yourself? You matter. You matter. Even though so many people are moms, grandmas, you matter. Okay. Eyesight, energy, MOTS-C, my favorite for energy. NAD is also good. Sleep, DSIP, epitalon. Eye sore, lose 30 pounds. Yeah. There's retatrutide is, GLP-3 everyone's talking about right now. Lean, yeah. A firmer core, yeah. Tesamorelin is really good for belly fat, actually. Less inflammation, BPC 157, of course. And TB 500, they kind of go hand in hand. Those are really great ones. Sleep, stress, and skin, yeah. Yeah, I think all of us can kind of feel that. Sleep, like I said, DSIP, epitalon is great. Stress, my favorite, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, is Cellin K or C-Lank. I always say Cellin K. I don't know why, but people call it C-Lank as well. Inflammation, lean out, summer ready. Yeah, I love that actually. That's a good topic. What peptides can you take to be summer ready? IBD in remission, less painful periods, and energy. Yeah, there's a lot that you can do there, actually. IBD, gut health, BPC 157 is wonderful for that. It was discovered in gastric juices in your gut lining. Energies, yeah. So I think so many of you are actually kind of saying very similar things, which makes me feel like we all kind of are dealing with the similar things. And I get that. So I want to start with some of the most common symptoms. This is what people talk to me about and ask me about. So firstly would be body composition and weight. And I think it makes sense that so many people talk about this because GLP-1s are everywhere. And GLP-1 is a peptide. The P in GLP-1 stands for peptide. You guys probably know that. But a lot of people don't know that. Ozempic is a peptide. It's a branded, FDA cleared peptide, but it is a peptide, right? And so what I like for not energy, what I like for body composition and weight is I love MOTS-c. MOTS-c is a mitochondrial peptide. It boosts the energy that your mitochondria puts out. So all the mitochondria in your entire body. Oh, did I freeze? Can you guys see me now? Man, I'm sorry we're having so many technical difficulties today. So wild. I'm literally have the best Wi-Fi. You're okay now? Okay. So MOTS-c is amazing. I took MOTS-c postpartum and it actually really shifted my belly after having a C-section. So I had a C-section. We found out my son was breech at 38 weeks. And unfortunately, I don't live in a community that supports breech birth ever, not in a hospital and actually not at home. And it was very traumatic, something actually very traumatic that I went through. And I still feel that trauma in my body that I'm like working through. I can even feel it now as I talk about it. But through healing and through going through it, I still had the shelf they talk about when you have a C-section or the belly, whether you have a C-section or you have a birth, regardless. And what I took for that was MOTS-c. And this is something that you can actually take, once you're weaning off of breastfeeding. This is a great one for you to take. It does not impact growth hormone at all. It is a mitochondrial peptide. It improves metabolism. It improves your response to insulin, glucose, how it all interacts. It is a great one. And I've actually noticed a difference in my belly, around my scar, where I have my C-section. So I would really suggest that. Another one that people love is retatrutide. This is something that I personally haven't tried yet because I haven't done the labs on my hormone levels to know that it's something that I need or would benefit from. Now, what do I mean by that? Retatrutide is a GLP-3. Right now, it is in second stage of being clinically tested at the FDA, with the FDA in the US. And retatrutide is like, mark my words, in a year and a half, it's going to be everywhere. And it's actually going to be harder to get, and it's going to be way more expensive than it is right now. I'm just going to mute you there, Alicia. There you go. It's going to be way harder to get than it is right now. It's going to be way more expensive. But it's a GLP-3. So it works on 3 different pathways in order to help with body composition, weight management. I'm actually thinking about putting my mom on retatrutide on a very small dose. The lab that I would suggest getting tested, if you are under the age of 40, I would say, is, Erica, the recording will be available, is called IGF-1. Now, I'm about to actually book this test, and IGF-1 is a direct relational biomarker that will show you how much growth hormone you have in your body. Unfortunately, you can't get this tested at home. I've looked in Canada and I've looked in the States. And the reason is because it's a serum blood test. So it's not something that you can just prick your finger. Like there's so many at-home tests now, which is amazing. And I love them. Function Health, 100 Health, SciFox, they're great. When you can't actually get it from just pricking your finger and pricking your blood. So you have to go to a lab. It's a blood draw. But you can pay for it out of pocket. In Canada, if anyone wants to do it, I just looked it up. You can do it through a company called Dynacare, and it's $70. And in the States, you have way more options. Like, it's way easier than Canada. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to have any of my Canadian clients do that. My husband's doing that. My mom's doing that, so that I can get my IGF-1 level assessed and be like, okay, should I try something that impacts growth hormone? Actually, my level's really great right now. I'm not going to mess with anything. So I'm not going to take any type of peptides that might influence that. Data is so important here. Data is so, so important, especially for women. We change so much every decade of our life. We need to understand what's happening on the inside of our bodies. So that's kind of body weight, some of the peptides I like for it, depending on what phase of womanhood you're in. The next one that came up is skin and nails. I get this. I have been taking GHKCU. I know you guys love that. It is kind of everywhere. Oh, I actually have it in front of me. Yeah, so you can see GHKCU is a copper peptide. It's blue. And I cannot tell you how fast my nails are growing within a month of doing it. Like, my nails, if you can see here, they grow so fast I don't even get them done anymore, because it just grows out, and then I'm just staring at like the line of where the nail polish is, and they're so hard, they're so strong. It's amazing. I will probably be on GHKCU for the rest of my life. It is a beautiful peptide. It is the beauty peptide, okay, for women, for men too, but for women. Skin, hair, nails. If your hair is falling out postpartum, if your hair is falling out during perimenopause or menopause, amazing. It's an amazing peptide. You can actually also take it on your skin topically as well. So right now I'm talking to somebody. I really want to create a topical serum of peptides. I posted this on my Instagram story yesterday of 4 different peptides, and GHKCU is one of them. And I think that this is so important because right now, if you go and try and find a peptide serum, they're not very potent. And peptide is such a cool word. They just throw peptide on the label and you look at it and it's like, what percentage of copper peptide is even in this? Is this even making a difference? So I want to create a serum that has 4 different ones that work on 4 different pathways for your skin. And I don't have it with me. You use one of those little microneedlers, you know what I'm talking about, that like kind of puncture inside your skin a little bit, and then you put it on and it soaks in. That's how you get the most. And I will tell you, one of the peptides I'm looking at for that serum is like Botox in a peptide. It relaxes muscles, but not as obviously Botox is very extreme and like you literally can't move anything. I don't have any Botox in my face. Like, you can see all my lines. Like, it literally like helps to reduce this movement, which obviously helps to reduce how deep the lines are that you might have. So that's something I'm working on. Stay tuned. And I will say as well, just on this note, I also want to create a serum for scars for skin. Again, this is a serum that I'm creating as someone who has a C-section scar. These skin peptides can do so much for turning over the collagen, turning over the cells that are right there on the scar. And I know I have women who message me about like stretch marks on their breasts after they're done breastfeeding or other surgeries that they've had. And they're like, yeah, I just want to really look good in a bikini again. I want to look good naked when I'm with my husband, whatever they might say. But they've been through something and now they have these marks and they don't know what to do about it. But we have peptides that actually can really help with that. Much better, my gosh, than just taking hyaluronic acid or vitamin C or whatever it might be. There's a place for all of that, but it really can go together. The next one I talk about is sleep. So, like I said, I'm not getting a lot of sleep with my toddler in my bed. We're working on it. We're going to transition him back to his room. Sleep is so important, and this is a time for healing. The peptides I like for sleep are D-CIP. This is something that actually helps to increase your deep sleep. You take it a couple hours before you go to bed. And again, you're not taking it every night. A lot of peptides, people think like you're on peptides for the rest of your life. You're not. So many of them you cycle. 12 weeks on, 4 weeks off, twice a year. It depends on the peptide. Every peptide is different. And there's actually thousands of peptides out there. So D-sip, right now, my protocol with it is I take it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's it. Some peptides like D-sip you have to be careful with because you don't want your body to become reliant on it, right? Because then you stop creating the hormones or the peptides themselves. We already have the peptides in us that are related to whatever you're trying to fix. So you have to be careful, and there has to be some sort of like an understanding with that. So that would be sleep for me. And then epitalon, people take epitalon at night. Epitalon is also really great for longevity. It increases our telomere length. So it's really great for, all of these biological age tests you can do. People do it like they take, they take epitalon for 12 weeks, they test again. That's really cool. That's very biohacky. I love that. Very cool to do. But yes, it also does help with sleep a lot. So out of these symptoms that I mentioned, I know we kind of talked about them, but body composition, skin, energy, sleep, what is the most important for you right now? For me, 90 days, whew, yeah, I think like skin is a big one for me right now. Is probably what I would put down in terms of like scars I don't want to rely on like other surgery or not surgeries or, you know, synthetic things to actually like feel good about my skin, stuff like that. Yeah, I have to hide my belly. Aw. Oh, this year, sorry. This serum that I'm talking about is one that I'm trying to create right now and figure out how to create and bring it to everybody. Optimize repair after strength training workouts. Absolutely. Mental clarity. Yeah. I mean, I do want to mention mental clarity because I kind of alluded to it earlier. Mental clarity is really important as well. Yeah, I didn't go through postpartum depression. I went through postpartum anxiety, which a lot of people, I don't know if people talk about that as much. Like, I just felt very overwhelmed and like nervous that something wasn't going to go well or like baby would fall or whatever, anything like that, like just kind of these racing thoughts all the time. And there are peptides for that. And the one that I love is called Selin K or C-Lank, like I said earlier. My theory was my theory was C-Lank and Selin K is that every single parent should have a box of it delivered to you the moment you find out that you're having a kid. Because this peptide is amazing for anxiety. And I'm on it right now. Like it takes you down here. It's very grounding. It helps with racing thoughts. It helps with overwhelm. It is amazing. Some people take it at night before they go to bed so they can actually come down as well and just be a bit lower and more grounded. I've just personally found that I haven't had any of that anxiousness that I had. I had a lot of like clenching in my belly and like nervousness and like it would come and go, but it would definitely show up. And ever since I started that, it hasn't shown up once. And that's when I take Monday to Friday. I don't take it on the weekends. You want to be careful with that. It's typically you do 5 days on, 2 days off, if that makes sense. Using peptides to treat mold sickness. Woof. Yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole we could go down. There's so much you could do there. It depends on your labs, depends what you're doing with. Again, women, right? Like depends where you are in your womanhood phase, what your hormones say. And I don't like to say women are complicated because I don't think women are complicated. I just think you have to be with somebody and work with somebody and have support who understands. What they say and what I heard the other day, which I really like, is men are solar, so they have a 24-hour cycle like the sun, and women are lunar, and we have a 28-day cycle or a 30-day cycle. So we're different every single day. Every single day. I literally said this to my husband the other day. I was like, you can't expect me to be the same every single day. I am different. I am chemically, biologically different. So my mood is going to be different. My energy is going to be different. And that is a beautiful thing. That is what makes us women. So I want to show you something now. Hopefully this works. We've had a lot of tech issues today. Did you mention what I use for energy? MOTS-C is what I use for energy. So MOTS-C is a mitochondrial peptide. It boosts the energy, the ATP that your mitochondria produces. It is phenomenal. It is like, if you think you have energy issues, try MOTS-C. Trust me. Trust me. what is so interesting about Motsi, my last little thing here before I show you what I want to show you, is if you take Motsi and you notice a huge difference within the first month, that means that your mitochondria has not been functioning really great and needs some love, needs some work, needs some more Motsi. There's a bunch of different things you can do for mitochondria, bunch of supplements. There's a lot you can do there and to improve mitochondrial health. But if you take Motsi and you don't notice any difference after 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and you're on the standard dosing, that means your mitochondria is actually in really great shape. So for me personally, when I started Motsi, I noticed a big difference. I don't want to say big. I noticed a difference in month 1, month 2, and now actually it's tapered off and I'm going to stop. This is my last week. So I'm like, I actually think my mitochondria is great. Yeah. So again, being aware of your symptoms, your signs, how your body's reacting. And that's also why I made my planner. And I know you guys, so many of you have it, is like to track your symptoms and signs like this. And by the way, just on a note about this planner, I printed my digital version in black and white. Okay. I want to make this into a physical planner, like something so cute and pretty for women. Like, you know what I mean? Like an actual planner that's nice and nice paper and like is really cool to open every day and track your peptides and you can track your symptoms and sign and how your body is doing. Like, I want to make that because this works, but I want something nice. So stay tuned. I do think I'm going to make the planner into a physical book because I think so many people would use that. And so many of you are actually on peptides already. How do you track your stack and protocol? Like actually though, I I don't know how you would do it without a planner because for me that would be so overwhelming to know, okay, what was my dose? How many days? When do I take it? Like it would be a gong show for me. It would be way too much. I need like my separate, open it up. This is peptides. Close it. Okay. This is my other planner. This is my other calendar. This is my agenda. Life is separate. You know what I mean? Peptides are complex and they are layered and they are confusing for so many people. And it doesn't help that there is so much content online that adds to this and adds to that fire. I'm sure you guys have seen the videos and the reels of like, take this, take that. No, do this differently. And oh, this is what the FDA is saying now. It is overwhelming, overwhelming. And the two most common questions I get about peptides in my emails, in my DMs is one, where do you get your peptides? And two, do you work with clients one-on-one? And I do work with clients one-on-one, very few. And as a VIP offer, it's $4,000 a month. It's for 2 or 3 people. It's very small. It's very, 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 very VIP. If you are interested in doing that, you can send me an email and it starts with a conversation. The other thing that I created, and that's what I want to show you, is, let's see if we can find it here, my community. And this is, my favorite place. All right. Can you guys see this? I'm asking because we've had technical difficulties today. And you know what? On that note, it doesn't surprise me that we've had technical difficulties because the world wants to hide this information from you. It is hard to find. It is tricky. And so it doesn't surprise me that Zoom is like, I'm going to make this hard for these women to learn this. Okay. This is the LongHer Life community. This is the space that I have built for women. We talk about longevity, biohacking, and peptides. And this is the Peptide Suite. My favorite place. I'm going to briefly show you kind of what it looks like. So this is the question and answer forum. Women come in here, they ask me their questions and I answer them, or other women come in and answer them. I also post questions in here that I get from my DMs or emails or things like that, so that other people, if they have the same question, they can go and take a look. I don't want to like spend too much time on that. Foundations is so important. This has so much content in it. I talk about the history of peptides, what they are, why women's protocols differ from men, how to source peptides, is peptide therapy right for you, how to read a peptide protocol, and the glossary, what to expect the first 30 days. Like, there's so much content in here for you to flip through right away. And by the way, this isn't a course. Like, I'm not giving you a quiz. I'm not making you read every single one and like before you can read the others. You literally get all of this right away if you join my community. And like I said, the first question I get is, where do you get your peptides? And that is all right here in recommended sources, which is constantly updated. I do not tell people where I get my peptides because legally I have to protect myself. And I need to make sure that the women who are coming to me or the people who are coming to me for peptides have some sort of base knowledge of peptides before I say, oh, here, go and order this. And maybe they don't even understand what peptides are. So my sources, my vetted sources are gated for that reason. I have sources in Canada, the US, the EU, and I'm talking to somebody for Australia and New Zealand right now. Australia is one of the hardest places to get peptides into, but we're working on it. And I also have my sources for topical peptides too, which actually tend to be easier than the ones that you inject. Okay. Then we can go to my peptide space. This is for everyone who's like, I heard about, what do we want to look at? I heard about MOTS-C. We've been talking about MOTS-C. I want to understand more. Let's dive in. What it is, how it works, the primary use cases for women, research status, the woman-specific considerations. This is my little infographic, a starting protocol, what to expect, labs and monitoring, side effects. The other thing that I added for every single peptide is supplements that can help and supplements that can hinder. Same with nutrition and lifestyle. A lot of them are the same, but there are some specific ones that are very interesting that there are supplements that actually help certain peptides work better. I'm sourcing and like where to store and things like that in my clinical notes. So this space of peptides is constantly updated. I actually have 8 new peptides I'm adding next week. Some of them like I never even had heard of until recently. So I'm adding to that. Next, we have the goals space. This, I think, is one of my favorite places, and I know my community members love this place, is you can come here for those goals. So you know how I said, okay, in 90 days, how do you want to feel? How do you want to look? A bunch of you said energy. Some of you said body composition. Some of you said libido. So we can look at that. And then there's also like endometriosis, PCOS, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And again, this is constantly being updated. So I will show you, let's do libido, what this looks like on the inside. So you can understand if this is for you. And the way that I kind of started with this is I did a foundation stack. So these are the peptides I recommend. This is the starting dose, when to take it. Then there's the advanced stack on top of that. Why these matter. And then what I did was, which is pretty wild, is I connected the peptides to the woman phase that you're in, to the objective or the goal that you have. And so if you, for example, are going to use PT-141, which is amazing for libido, and you're cycling, you could be like, okay, I'm cycling, I have my menstrual cycle, how's this going to affect me? Okay, I get it. Cell NK, great. What to expect week by week, labs to run. This is very important. And I actually have a source for labs as well if you want to get your labs done at home and at a discount as well. So all the companies that I recommend, I should have said that as well, all the peptide companies I recommend all have discounts for you. The different labs and all of the other like little nuances there as well. And then I just launched the motherhood room. So if you're in the preconception fertility phase of your life, you can go through all of this. Pregnancy is tough. There's very little that I would recommend during pregnancy. And I talk about what to pause and why. But I do also talk about first trimester monitoring and things like that. And then we have postpartum. And postpartum there's a lot of this is written assuming you're not breastfeeding a lot. But I talk a lot about hormones, hair loss, brain fog, and you can take a look in here and see what it is. Peptide stack, nutrition, herbs, biohacking, lifestyle. So you can come in here if you're breastfeeding, what you would do if you're breastfeeding, and then all the related research. Now, with this peptide suite, the next thing we're producing is the menopause room. So that will come right here, and that's next. And so this is my community. We meet biweekly, and we have the Peptide Suite. We have the whole fertility suite as well. And you can see my calendar here of all of our calls, all of my discounts on all the biohacking stuff, community, live chat, everything like that. So I'm going to put that link right now in the chat if you want to join my new LongHer Life program. So this is so important, guys, for everyone who's still live on this call. We're getting to questions shortly. Oh, here. That link that I just sent you will not go anywhere else. It will not be on my website. It will not be in the emails. It is literally for every single participant I'm seeing on the screen right now. You are the only people in the world who will get that link. You are only that is exclusive for you. And that is to thank you for your time for being here. I want to give back to you. You just spent, oh my gosh, what, 60, 70 minutes with me so far? That's amazing. That's incredible. I love that. And I want to give back to you and I want you to feel seen. So that is for you. And I'm going to I think I can pin it. There you go. That is pinned. Now, if you want to actually look at the full program on my website, you can, of course, do that as well. That's the full program that you can kind of go through. But that special link, that's just for you. That's for nobody else. And so my program that I've designed to make this accessible and easier and for everybody is a 3-month program. It's 90 days. And there's certain things that you get in there. The first is you actually get 2 one-on-one calls with me. These are 30 minutes each. It is at the beginning and at the end. We're going to make your protocol. You're going to ask me your specific peptide questions. You're going to ask me anything that you can't find answers to online. We can go deep. And I am going to be there to support you. Then we have the biweekly community calls. And I have actually already scheduled them. So we are doing a build your own protocol call on April 30th. And we're doing a reconstitution and injecting guide call on May 28th. Replays is available for everything, of course, and you will get emailed that. So if you can't show up live, it's okay. You can still get all of the content. The replays live in the community. So biweekly calls in between the 2 times that we meet. So you have hands-on support. Peptides are so confusing. They're overwhelming. It's a lot to be like, okay, how do I take this? Where do I go? What do I do? Is this working? You need somebody. No, I don't think it should be. Sorry, Chrissy, I don't think it is. Let me put that. That's what it should say. You have so much support, literally, through me and through the community. So if you have questions on those biweekly calls, we actually get to go through your questions. And I remember when I was starting, I literally thought, oh my gosh, I thought when I would hear people talk about peptides on a podcast, it sounded like a different language. There were so many acronyms. I was like, what? Growth hormone? Okay. BBC, TB, cell and K, what? I was so overwhelmed. And I wish I had a community that I could go in and be like, hey, I have a question, or show up to the group calls and ask your question live. So you have literally so much hands-on support. This is the program that has been waiting for you. You get access to, what am I on for? You get access to the full Peptide Suite that I just showed you, any new content that comes out. You get access to my planner. It's a free download in there. And anything else that comes out that I create that's a free or that is a digital download. And that is for the 3 months. And of course, you get my vetted sourcing at a discount, which is incredible. So yeah, if you're in Canada, I know where you can get peptides. And yeah, I can give you a discount. Same with the US, same with the EU. And again, we're working to add more and more countries. Now, I'm going to just quickly check that I sent you guys that right link because, yeah, okay. Is that the right link? Does anyone want to check? I just want to make sure that that's the right link for you. Uh, Wendy. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me look at this. Okay. Okay, what if we try this? Thank you for your patience. Yes. So $14.97 is for try that and let me know if that works for you. Because on my end, I see your special pricing and your special link. So I'm a little confused at why. Like it should say live masterclass special. If anyone wants to check, it does not say that. Okay. Now, bear with me for a second here, guys, because you need that. This is the only place that I'm actually going to be putting that. I'm in my community right now. Let's try this one. Natasha, can you let me know if that works? That looks
Yes,
like
let
that
me check
worked.
the other link here.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. Ah, the gatekeeping and the world really is just trying to not let you have.
Oh, this is the right link. Yeah, the last one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's pin that actually. Thank you guys. Okay, we have time. I want to open up for Q&A. What are your questions? My program, we start on Monday. I am so excited. And enrollment for this actually closes at Sunday night. So that is Sunday. We start Monday. Monday, I already have people booking actually. Our one-on-one calls will start Monday, the group calls and everything like that. You get access to everything, of course, right away when you join. If you have Yeah, so the 97 a month, which actually shouldn't be on there anymore, is just the community itself. So that's very limited in what you actually have access to. There's no one-on-ones with me in that. It's just the actual community itself. There's way less support in that. And you really do yeah, you do really actually need the support and be able to talk to me and we can talk through actually the protocol that you're trying to make. Wendy, I only see did you try, Wendy, try the new link I just sent? I sent it, it's actually pinned to the top, or you can see it when I sent it at 1:16. Let me know. I can try and send it again, but a few other people said it worked, so it should work. Like if I click on it right now, it does work. Yeah, there we go. So we start on Monday, but I really do want to open up for questions right now because I think that is so important. So, is there a huge difference between taking NAD by injection versus NMN orally? Yeah, this is such a debate. This is such a debate in the longevity and biohacking space. So, when I've talked to experts about this, especially on my podcast, a lot of them say that taking NAD through injection is great, but it's actually better to take precursors. I think it's because the NAD molecule is so large that we actually struggle to absorb it and really get a lot out of it. And also through injection, through like taking it as a little peptide, that's not accessible to everybody. So I have NAD. I'm currently not injecting it right now. I use precursors. I have different supplements I take for it. And those are actually all listed in my community if that interests you. But that's how I work on my NAD levels is through precursors like that. Do you recommend AHK-CU or GHK-CU for hair loss setting? I would recommend GHK only from my own personal experience and research. I have not tried AHK myself. It is another copper peptide, so I would think that they would work well, like very similarly. However, there's more research on GHK and it's more accessible. So I would try GHK first, see how it works, and then see if you need to switch. Make sure you don't go above the limit for it, though I think the maximum limit is 2 milligrams a day because there can be issues with too much copper in the body. So you just have to kind of be aware of how much you're taking. By the way, a note on that is when you take any copper peptide or like you inject it versus taking it like topically on your skin, those are two different pathways. So you can actually put it on your face in a serum and you can inject 2 milligrams a day and you don't need to worry about going over your limit by putting it on your skin. Because when you put it on your skin, it sits in that layer. It does not become systemic in the body, unlike when you inject it. So you do not need to worry about overdosing in any capacity through the different mechanisms. Okay. Do you start with one peptide and add to it to make a stack? Yeah, this is a great question. So I would recommend, yes, I would recommend starting with one or two. It depends what your goal is. It depends where you stand in terms of where you are in your womanhood phase, but it depends on your goal. So if your goal is energy, you could start with MOTS-C, which we talked about, and see how you feel 6 to 8 weeks later. Then you could add in NAD or, take the supplement, which we just talked about, or maybe look at what else might be going on of why you might be feeling so low on energy. Like, is it stress? Would Cell K be actually great for that? Or do you need something like CMAX, which actually like really turns the brain on? A lot of people take CMAX for work, and it really helps to like help you concentrate and like boost you up if you have something that you really need to focus on or you're dealing with brain fog. So it depends. It depends. But yes, you typically start with one or two and then you add to it. My recommendation is to never take more than 6 because I think that's a lot. And it also actually depends on what your budget is too, because if you're adding in these peptides and you're on 10 peptides at a time, like that is expensive. That is going to be a lot. So I would recommend, 6 is a maximum. Tracking your symptoms, tracking your signs, seeing how your body looks, feels, how you're showing up, and changing accordingly. Do you recommend starting with a blended stack versus taking peptides individually? No. I would personally, and this is what I've done and I recommend to people that I know and clients, the one-on-one clients I've had or people in my program, I think there's a lot to be said about starting with peptides individually and tracking how they are working in your body. The other thing that I find with the blends is that it is already a concentrated amount, so you can't really play with it. Now, what I mean by that is, say if you were going to take TB 500 and BPC 157 and you're working on inflammation or you have an injury and you're like, okay, I'm going to go on the Wolverine stack. This is something that's going to help me. The issue is that once you actually do the research, maybe you go through everything in the Peptide Suite and you're like, oh, okay, I actually need 5 milligrams or 2 milligrams of TB 500, but I only need this small amount of BPC 157. But in the blend, they're each at 5 milligrams each. So how does that make sense? And so this is kind of what I found is like the blend is a standard dose, but depending on what you're dealing with, you might need more or less of one of the peptides that's in there. So it doesn't really make sense for a lot of people, I think. I think if you get to a point where you're in more of a management stage, you're not dealing with a surgery or you're not dealing with an injury or, like you're kind of just like in a maintenance phase, I can see why people would use a blend. But personally, like I think the individual ones are better. How do you spell those last two? Oh gosh, which last two did I mention? The TB 500 and BPC 157? I can put those in the chat. That's the Wolverine blend. I don't find PT 141 works for me for my libido. Wow. Okay. Any other recommendations? I'm a 37-year-old active woman, and since having my daughter 5 years ago, I feel like my libido just went down. Okay. My question for you would be, are you cycling and how is your menstrual cycle going? Is it regular? Are you ovulating? Have you had your hormones looked at? Do you know that your estrogen is going up and then coming down? Same with progesterone. Like, do you know that you still have that? Or are you entering perimenopause? If you're entering perimenopause, that would be a different conversation. And that would likely mean we would have to look at a different stack and peptides for you. So, because this is such a specific question, I would get your labs tested, get your hormones looked at, and know your levels first before trying to add in anything else, because that is going to affect libido. Is it only libido or is it also energy and stress that's happening in your body that you're dealing with, and maybe lack of sleep? Is there dryness that's also happening, right? Because, like I said, when we have low estrogen, we're a lot more dry. Like down there, we're a lot more dry for sure. On our skin, a lot more dry. So I would look at that. And then the other thing that I would also think about with the PT 141, because it increases libido, I would look at the dosage that you took. And, this is the type of thing that we would talk on our intro call about, is I would look at the dosage and potentially try more and see if that makes a difference. How much have you taken? How long have you taken it for? Everything like that. Okay. Do you recommend Retta over GLP-1s? Yes, I do. I think that I guess there's a caveat there. So retatrutide is a GLP-3. It works on 3 different pathways in order to help with your weight and body composition and insulin and the entire system, which means it's more robust and there's less side effects. GLP-1s, like I think so many people are now realizing, is that it causes a lot of muscle loss for a lot of women. And that's something we didn't actually get to talk to you today about how important strength training is actually for women and for longevity long term. This is something like we cannot afford to lose. We cannot afford to lose muscle. Our muscle mass already decreases every single decade. If we're taking something like GLP-1, it's going to slowly decrease that as well, unless you're so aware of it. You're in the gym, you're strength training, you're taking a ton of protein, and you're really, really, really working hard for that not to happen. So that's why I think Retta people love is because there's less side effects and there's less concern about muscle mass than there is with GLP-1s. Now, the reason I say there's a caveat is because it's not FDA approved. It's not cleared. They're in the trials right now. Take that as you will, depending how you feel about the FDA. Okay. If I were you and I was going to try one, I would probably try Retta. I would probably, again, depending on the phase that you're in, depending on how much weight you want to lose, I would probably start really small and make sure that you're not copying the male protocols. You are not a 45-year-old, 250-pound man. Do not dose yourself like you are one. Okay? Really, really think about it. Start smaller. Bring it down. You could always add more. You could always increase it month 2, right? Like you can always do that. People are actually microdosing Retta now, which I think is very interesting. This idea of microdosing peptides. I would also guess, I mean, depending on how old you are, I would get your IGF-1, and I'll put that in the chat. I think everyone should get this tested. Get your IGF-1 levels tested so that you know your growth hormone levels. Know what you're working with before you start playing with these like really, really potent peptides. Okay. Many people say you can't microdose Retta like other GLPs. Well, people are doing it. So I think it depends. And, I've thought about, hey, do I want to try it? But I don't have enough data on myself. Like I said, I'm going to get my hormones tested. I'm going to make sure I really want to look at everything before playing around with anything like that. If my doctor is saying my labs are fine, I can pay out of pocket to have my labs completed. Yes. If you're in Canada, yes. And the States, yeah. And then send them to you to have you analyzed and figure out what peptides would benefit me specifically as doses. Yes. If you want to do that, I typically save that type of in-depth analysis for my one-on-one clients. But if you do want to do that, I can help you out and I can do that for you. You can send it to me and we can take a look. I will need them before our onboarding call and I can go through them and we can kind of like take a look at everything together. But yes, typically when I run labs, they're out of pocket. I do them at home. It gets delivered to my house. I do it at home and it's a blood. It's a little like I squeeze blood onto this piece of paper. I send it out and then I get all my information. You can also do a Dutch test. Dutch does like saliva and that's available in Canada and the US as well. So it's great because we are getting so many more companies now that are like at home testing. So you no longer have to go to your doctor and convince them of like, hey, I want to get my hormones tested for this reason, right? So I think that's a beautiful space that we're in now. And it's just going to get easier and easier. So it's great for us consumers. Okay, if there's no other questions, thank you guys so much for today. This has been amazing. Again, we start on Monday. You guys have that special link. That link is going away after I close this call, just so you know. So literally click on it right now because it's not going to be anywhere else. I would love to have you on Monday. I'd love to see you on Monday. We start on Monday. It's going to be a 3-month program. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time as women, working women, mamas, grandmas, whatever you are. You have a lot on your plate. And I hope you got a lot out of this. And I can't wait to see you soon. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you. See ya.